I'm Kevin Lohr, and you are listening to the Kotatsu podcast. The Kotatsu podcast explores the journey of native English speakers working and living in Japan. Guests on the show will explain their own experience as English teachers, culture shock, and lifestyle. Hopefully, this podcast becomes a guide to those who are interested in moving to Japan. But remember, everyone has their own experience. Join us on the Kotatsu podcast, new episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Kotatsu podcast. I'm your host, Kevin, and today we have an amazing guest. This is a new friend of mine. His name is Dios Lacap. He is in Eniwa in Hokkaido. He's in his second year as a ALT. And thank you so much for being here, Dios.
Yeah, no problem. It's great to be here.
Awesome. And it's very interesting how we met. We met on my birthday hangout.
Yeah, it was a good time, though.
Yeah, thanks to shout out to Carly for setting everything up. It was an amazing night, actually.
Yeah, it's really good, memorable.
Yeah, we should do that again to go out in Sapporo and go more into izakayas, just talk to more locals.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely want to do it sometime.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they're just going to confuse us for like full Japanese instead of foreigners. I'm not sure if you've been through that kind of like situation, but I definitely have.
I have, and they've kind of spoken like words that I couldn't really comprehend at the time, and I was like, hi.
That's when you bring out your guiding card and say, watashi wa gaikokujin desu. And then they're going to be like very shocked and like, no, you're lying.
I cling to my foreigner card. Like, I want to use this.
Yeah, I only use it when I'm in like a serious situation. Like if I don't understand what are they saying.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you a question since you are have Filipino and Australian. Question is, do you eat Vegemite often, or do you miss Vegemite?
I don't eat it often,
Okay.
but it's one of the things where I ate it as a kid and I kind of miss the taste, but I don't go out of my way to like grab it because I see it sometimes in like Caldi or something.
Oh, okay. It's interesting because as an American, we heard about Vegemite, and I heard that Australians put on everything or like on toast, right?
Yeah.
And I want to know, like, what does it taste like, or what is it?
If I had to describe it, it's very bitter. Unironically, kind of like beer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I guess I will like it. A beer in a paste form.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
People are like, I don't like it. But like, I like it. But whenever I like give it to someone to try and they put it on themselves, I notice they slather it on like peanut butter or something. And I'm like, no. You like put a light amount because it adds a little bit of a zing.
I mean, that's the same thing if the first person is eating natto, right? They're eating a whole big giant bite of natto. It happened to me when I bought some, the deli section, of course, here in Japan, they have like take home sushi, and I bought some, and I took a big bite out of the sushi. I'm like, oh, that's natto. I mean, I love natto on rice, but not in sushi.
I don't like natto. I can't eat it.
Really? Some actually is not that bad, to be honest. Some are not that bad.
Like, I have had it. It came out in Kyushoku one time, and I was like, oh. And it was kind of like the teachers noticed, and they're like, because it's well known among Japanese people that like foreigners don't like natto.
Yeah.
Not a lot. And I was like, they're like, oh, you should give it a try. And I was like, I've heard so much about it. And I gave it a shot, and I was like, it entered my mouth, and I was like, this ain't happening. I finished it. Like, I worked my way through it, like, but it looked like I was going through hell to finish it.
Oh yeah, a lot of people like some people who lived here for like 20 years or more still don't even have a taste for natto. So you really have like a really good strong taste for natto, but it's healthy and
it is,
yeah, and it's cheap. For the audience who don't know what natto is fermented soybeans. Here in Japan, they love to eat it with over rice or rice and an egg on top. So if you guys want to look it up, there's a bunch of YouTube videos out there. So that's the information, and do what you will with it. Yeah. And also, like, again, we're going back into a little bit of your like heritage as well. You're also Filipino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. And are you like first gen Filipino in Australia or second gen? Like, how does that work in your family?
So my mom and dad were raised in Philippines.
Uh-huh.
Um, my brother and sister were born in the Philippines, but then they moved. The family moved over to Australia, and that's where I was born.
Okay.
Which is funny because in my head, or rather, what my dad says to me, like my siblings were raised in the Philippines and they moved over, but I was fully raised in Australia. Like
Yeah.
we still spoke the language at home, but my dad says like I was Australia born and raised. He's not saying it in a negative way. It's just there is that difference. And I'm like, growing up now, I kind of see it.
Yeah.
I kind of see it. Yeah.
Yeah, the ones who are born in like in that country is probably have some different experience compared to your siblings, right?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. And how was it like growing up in Australia, like as a Filipino?
Nothing. It was all like I've been very fortunate to live like a very not my life was free of conflict for the most part. Like if anything, there were a couple of Filipinos in like my school,
Uh-huh.
but I didn't really interact with them. And the times that I did, it wasn't. We just didn't end up becoming friends. And so I was just like, I'll make friends with other people, and I ended up being friends with like this like Indian, Mexican, like it was very multicultural kind of deal.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And another food question. I love to ask about food because I think food is where it hits home. And
yeah.
especially because we're in Japan and we can't get any of the great Southeast Asian food. I mean, Japan's food is great, but sometimes you just miss a piece of home. So
Yes,
I have to
absolutely.
I have to tell you, how much do you miss adobo?
Like before coming to Japan, I've always lived at home with my parents.
Yeah.
So my mom or dad would cook up the meal whenever. I was like, "Hey, this is great." And then when my sister and brother moved out, they were like, "Oh, Dios, you're gonna miss this when you move out." And I was like, I don't know. It's good food, but I'm kind of like, I have it a lot. It's meh. But then I move here, and I'm kind of like, I do miss like adobo or longanisa or like sisig. Like I miss all of it.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. So, for me, like, I grew up eating Southeast Asian food. I'm a Hmong American, so like, and we have a lot of Lao and Thai like food and culture adapted into our culture.
Yep.
So, and I thought I left home for college, and I transferred to a 4-year university, and then I came back home visit, and I noticed that I really missed this specific dish, which is called bitter melon.
I think I've heard of it.
I don't know what's it called in Japanese. I forgot it's a gore. It's some kind of gore squash that's bitter, and it's kind of like on the outside, the texture is wavy but soft. But like, my mom, what they will do is they will cut it up in some kind of small slices and have some minced pork and mix that and stir fry that. And I came home and I love to eat this with some chicken broth on the side or some chicken dish that we have. So. Yeah, no, I miss other Southeast Asian food. I'm not sure about the area in your the city that you live in Australia, but in my town, which is Fresno, California, there was a bunch of pho, Vietnamese, and Lao and Thai restaurants, and I miss their food so much. And there's not much of great, you can say other like Vietnamese or Thai or Lao like restaurants out here in Hokkaido.
Yeah, I've looked. There's not much, and then that's why I kind of realized that I kind of miss back home in Australia because in Australia as well, there's a large like food culture from all over the world. You have like Thai food, you have Vietnamese food, you have Indian, you have like Spanish food. It's all over the world, and like I could go to the city and be like, oh yeah, let's eat at this Mexican place today, and we're like. That'd be great. Or then like another time it'd be like, let's go eat at this Thai restaurant. In Japan, you don't really get that much. It's a rare find.
Well, you get ramen here. So I mean, nothing bad against ramen. Ramen,
yeah, nothing.
I wasn't much into ramen until I came here too. So I'm like, okay, it's better than nothing. So, but it's really good. It's really high in fat though. They use a lot of pork. So,
eating like all of it, including the broth, is
Oh man, you're good for the day. If you're eating that for lunch, you don't need
Oh,
dinner.
yeah, I'm done
Yeah.
for the day.
No, but like, you know how like, I'm not sure about in Australia, but like, when in America, when me and my friends we will go drink or have a fun night out, and we the next day we would like, you know, get like, or the end of the night after the clubbing or after the drinking, we would go and get like Mexican burritos or tacos. So I'm not sure. What do you guys get in Australia when you guys are like done drinking and all that?
Oh, so there's this thing called halal snack pack. We just
Halal,
call it
halal
halal
snack.
snack pack. So it's HSP for
Uh-huh.
short. It's basically how we finish off the night. It's basically so it's like halal meat. So like well, what was it? Let me find it real quick. Like
Yeah, I looked it up right now. I see. Oh my God, this looks
yeah, so
amazing.
it's got like lamb or chicken or beef
Yeah.
with chips, and then with the sauces we just cake it on. So like chili, garlic, barbecue. Sometimes
I,
people
I
put cheese or
yeah.
yogurt.
I see that you guys have fries in these pictures in on Google. Is that right?
Yes,
Oh my
we
God. So this is very similar in America, or especially California. We have something called asada fries. Or
asada fries.
asada fries are carne asada fries.
Oh,
Um,
I've heard of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is, you can say, almost similar, and I think we will really dig this in. Yeah, this sounds really amazing. I would love to eat that. I would love to try this.
It's good. I've looked for it in Japan. It's nowhere.
I think you can find some good. You can find some kebabs in Sapporo, but not this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah. It makes me miss home sometimes just talking about food. But if you can't find it, you just have to do it yourself here.
Yeah, you have to make it.
Yeah. And I was just also wondering, like, how good is the food portion for you at school?
At school, I think, especially recently, it's been very good in terms of portion size.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm generally fine for with just one, but recently, sometimes teachers don't come in, or like they have they use the nenkyu or something, the time paid leave, and
Yeah.
I get their portions. So like I'll have like an extra box of rice or like some extra fish or something, and I'm like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, no, it happens to me too. So, sometimes I think the vice principal or the office lady, the one who's always helping with the office supplies and stuff or making copies, like
Yeah.
she's the one who's helping serving the lunch to the teacher and staff in the office, and she tends to give me a little bit more, and I appreciate her so much, and she's amazing. And but also sometimes the vice principal, if there's extra, he'll tell me like, Lo-san, please, today there's no teachers, so please help us. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But when I think curry day, I would have a refill because there's just a lot of curry. Curry's awesome.
The curry is so good.
Yeah. But yeah. And like speaking of like of school too, like how is work? You said earlier when we met, you were at an elementary and junior high, right?
Yep. So it's I find it's very lax because I've heard stories from friends or just other people where like they get overloaded with work or they have to do overtime or like eikaiwa stuff on top of it. But for me, it's very much lax, thankfully. I don't go to the junior high as much as I was like planned to, because generally it was meant to be 1 week in a month, like in a month, one week for junior high, and then the rest would be elementary. But recently I haven't gone as much, but that's due to I think school semester ending, etc. But in terms of workload, I teach with a JTE, even in elementary, which I hear a lot of the time for ALTs, they don't do that. It's all of ALTs doing it solo act pretty much.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. So that's the motto of this podcast, and of course, Jet would always emphasize is everyone has their own experience, and I think your experience and mine are somewhat, you can say, with the schools are kind of similar because I'm only at the junior high for once a week. For the elementary school this year, I was actually on a solo act teaching third graders English, which, you know, it's a no-no in Japan, but
Yep.
they as long as there's a teacher with a Japanese teaching certification and they're supervising. You're fine. I'm like, okay. But
Yep.
yeah, I went solo, but which wasn't supposed to happen, but there was a miscommunication. So, but anyways, I did it, and I did it finished the year strongly. The kids loved it. Just playing all these quirky American games, and
That's good to hear.
Yeah, and I followed the book because it's my first time, so yeah, it was great. But next year I won't be able to do that, so I will be at the junior high school twice a week next year, and I'll be taking over fourth, fifth, and sixth. So my co-ALT will be taking over third. So
okay, nice.
Yeah, but yeah, I think yeah, our experience are a little bit similar, and compared to our other ALT friends or other Jets or Interact, whoever's are into the ALT positions here, sometimes workloads are a little bit different depending on the school, the area, the city, or the BOE that you're contracted to. So that's why everyone doesn't have the same experience. Every story is different. So
yeah, as they always say, ESID.
Yeah, exactly. And like, how often do you go to the elementary again?
Basically, the entire month minus 1 week. Yeah.
And how good is like the communication between you, the school, and the BOE?
So one thing I've noticed over my time working with the BOE and the schools and all that, the BOE will tell me info, and sometimes they'll contact the school.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, there's no direct contact with the school and the BOE, which is kind of weird when you think about it.
Yeah.
They'll leave it to me to like tell. I'm basically the carrier pigeon, really. Like, if something's happening with the BOE, they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you got to notify the school." And I was like, "Oh, okay," and I'll do that. So
that's interesting, because that would happen to my predecessors as well before my private CR came in, but sadly she left. Wish she was still here, but like, what happened is that before that, like, they don't really tell you stuff. The school doesn't really tell you or communicate, and then the BOE, like, sometimes I remember I don't really give notice sometimes from certain things. Like, one day I came to school and all these kids were bringing their bentos, and I'm like, why everybody got their bentos? What's going on here? And it turns to find out, I'm like, oh yeah, it's there's no school lunch today, and I was like, I was not informed. So I wish I was more informed or something. So yeah, from there, like, before like that happened, like that kind of stuff happened with the private CR that we had, what she did was she would have the school contact her, and then she will let the higher ups know, and then this is what they want, this is what the school wants for the ELT to be there and what to do, and they say, okay, that's fine, and she'll pass the word back to us, and everything was very cordial, everything was great until she left, and then it's kind of down here, but then again, it's good for us ALT to communicate with the school, because it's bringing us out of our comfort zone, and
yes,
and helping us practice a little bit of Japanese, even though we have no idea what's going on sometimes.
So yeah, for me, in terms of communication, like in terms of upcoming events and notices and whatnot, initially, when I first started working, they said, oh, they'll come to me directly. But over time, they've just stopped doing that. And it's not as if they're not going to inform me, but they inform me the same way they would everyone else. So like, there's the morning meetings, and like they'll give me the schedule for like the school month, and it'll say all the stuff in Japanese as well. So I'll pick up, the graduation ceremony is coming up on this day, so I don't have to come in. So it's both good and bad. Like, if I was in a position where I had zero Japanese, it'd be like, oh, this is terrible. But I listen in on the morning meetings and I read what's given to me. So
yeah, that's interesting too, because my elementary school that I'm at, we don't do morning meetings. We do the meetings after school.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah, but guess what? I don't get schedules like the school schedule. Like,
all
the schedule I get is the schedule where I see the triangle where my classes are at. And that's it.
So, that is very different.
So like, if I see a triangle, those are my classes, and that's it. And like, they don't like, Like for example, like earlier I said, today is the graduation for the elementary for the sixth graders, right?
Yeah.
And they prepped everything, but the thing is that like I wasn't really notified, or they didn't really tell me that there's gonna be like they didn't give me a role to do. So of course, like, and the guy or the supervisor in charge of us didn't really tell us what to do. So he said you can either come to the BOE to work, or you can go to the graduation. Of course, me being with the kids for a year now, I want to see them graduate. So that's why I went. And yeah, so I didn't really know what to do. I just kind of stand around, say hello to the parents, say good morning, congratulations.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, like everybody, the whole ceremony finished, and I just helped clean up. And apparently also today, lunch was also canceled. And I was like, oh. So it was like a half day. All the teacher kind of just kind of left after all the kids left too. So so after lunch, everybody went to like eat their like kombini bentos, and then
Yeah.
I went to go buy some lunch too, and I came back and I was just sitting there, and I was like, so what's gonna happen for the rest of the day? So I stayed there until like probably like 1, and then I went back to the BOE, which is not the best thing ever because the BOE is pretty boring.
It is very boring.
Yeah. And I don't know, like when you're in the BOE, you have to act. Of course, you have to put on the performance that you're working on school stuff.
Yes,
So,
you have to look like you're busy.
and again, like Japanese work environment is very different from the West. How different is it from Australia?
It's very different in a sense that I think Australia is very lax. Because before Jet, I used to work at a hospital. I was general admin and stuff. And they were despite working at a hospital, as long as I got the job done, they wouldn't care if I was on my phone while waiting for something to finish or something. But here in Japan, they won't tell you, but you'll feel something in the air.
Yeah.
You'll feel something. Like, oh, no.
They'll start like a lot of people start looking at you, and there's like you feel like there's eyes on you, but not really on you, and
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I try not to be on my phone too much, but sometimes when I'm on there, like for like a split, like probably like 5 minutes, or like 3 minutes, they wouldn't say anything. But sometimes you see them on their phones too. So I don't think they care. But like, but our kacho, basically you can say our manager of the department of the BOE. He's sometimes very strict because he goes by the book. He's still very, you can say, dinosaur times for Japan, because in Japan everything must go by structure and go by book. But my supervisor, he's like, I don't like this. Like he thinks that it should change, but then again he can't do much about it too. So maybe hopefully when he gets up to the rank, to the position, hopefully he can change it. But
hopefully,
we'll see. Hopefully I hope Japan do kind of change their work environment, but we can't really do much because
we're ALTs.
Yeah, we're just ALT.
We're just ALTs.
Yeah, even if we suggest something or complain about something, you're like, yeah, we can replace you. So
absolutely,
I'm trying to keep my job, so I'm not trying to say too much. But yeah. But like speaking of like the BOE, like how do you get like a good support from the BOE if you're doing like a project or like?
Yes. I feel very fortunate that they're willing to for example, there's I don't know how much, but there's a certain amount of money that I can ask for the BOE to spend on like school supplies if I want to do like make a game or something for class, or like make a project. That is there. They said if I need like writing supplies or something, they're like, oh, we can buy it for you, and I haven't had to use it, thankfully. And if for example, if I have any like health problems, like for example like teeth, dentist, they're all like, oh, we can like recommend you to a good dentist and we'll support you through it. But thankfully I haven't I've been able to do that independently as well, so I just haven't had a use for it.
Oh, that's good that you do have some support, like compared to other jets who are like you can say prefectural jets. I heard from prefectural jets. Oh man, they get it the hardest, and I feel really bad for.
I've heard a lot of stuff in the ether. But yeah, they're like, my BOE does nothing, or like I gotta do this on my own. And it's like, that's terrible.
And then that's kind of hard for some of us, right? Like, if it's your first time living in Japan, and like there's no support, and you're like, and you come to Japan and you have this job, and they just drop you off at this apartment with nothing, and then they help you. They don't really help you with personal needs because you don't know the language, and that ruins kind of like your experience for Japan, right? And
Yes,
but then again, like it's like it's very you can say. I think I talk like this with my friends too, that in their position, I think for you, to help you for their position, how can I wear this? It's very hard to say. When they help you, it's not because they want to, it's because they have to.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
It's their job to help you.
Yeah. For some of us, right? And for some, if it's not their problem, then they won't kind of step in. Like
they won't go out of their way to do it. For example,
but for some people, right? But some people are really, some staff are really nice, and they'll help you, recommend you, and what is it? My supervisor, actually, when we did this were you there at the online training this past month?
Yeah, I was there. Where it was a Zoom call or something.
Yeah. And
I was there.
Our supervisors were there, our JTEs, and my supervisor, he was on there, and he heard a lot of the Jets like complaints and a lot of Jets' voice and opinions, and he didn't know that stuff happens. I'm like, yeah, of course. And he was so worried about me and my co-ALT, and he said, please let me know if you guys need help with anything.
Okay.
So
I know a bit of that.
So he's very like informative. He's just like, if you have anything, please let me know. I will help you. I'm like, okay, I understand. So I really appreciate that. It does kind of give me a little bit more hope that since he went to this Jet meeting or conference that we have, this training that we had, he understands that we do need a little bit more support. And,
yes.
And compared to, like, I told him that we're very blessed to have the our BOE, because people do speak English there. Compared to some other Jets, staff don't really speak English.
No, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, does anybody speak English in your BOE or school other than the JT?
In my elementary, there's the JT speaks decent English, not horrible. No. Like I can get a normal conversation going, which is good. But I've also had JTEs where they're not at the level where I can fully express myself fully in English. I have to use some Japanese. Yeah. So it's a bit varied. My BOE, I have to use Japanese completely.
Oh man. Yeah, no, my BOE, again, like, there's 2 staff that knows English, so I'm very thankful. There's other staff actually knows good English too, but then again, they're just very shy to use it because they know that the higher ups are better at English, and I told them, don't be scared. They probably know less than you, so please practice English with them.
Yes.
So, they do have a good amount of English, like, they probably learned it, of course, from like junior high or elementary, or maybe a little bit, of course, from university. But they're very afraid to use it, and I tell them just try to use it with me, and then I will use Japanese with them. So, it's good that we get some good support. But,
it's great.
To those who don't, I'm very sorry, and I wish in the future, if you're doing Jet again, I hope you get a better support system.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, and like. Speaking like of work, that's of course work sometimes is like good, and there is a good amount of work and some maybe not as much workload. But like how is lifestyle outside of work for you?
So before coming to Japan, I was the type. I'm basically an indoor person. Mm-hmm. Like I love staying home, playing video games, or like reading manga or something.
Yeah.
My lifestyle here hasn't in Australia I'd be like work, go home, go out with friends or something, like if there's something on the weekend. I thought it would be the same here, but coming here it'd be finish work, and because of all the friends I've like connections and friends I've made here, I've been going out way more than I would back home in Australia. I've been going to different places, having fun. It's actually a very good change, actually.
I think that's a little bit different from my experience because I'm in the smaller town up north, and I go to work and I come back home. That's it. And
Yeah.
there's not much here in the small rice field town. So, but, yeah. But there is like another town next door to us, which does have a lot more ALTs or foreigners. But then again, with new jacks coming in now and different cliques perform. But yeah, I wish I can connect with them more, but I think everybody has a different schedule. So yeah.
I will say I've been a lot of people have said to me that I kind of hit the location jackpot because Eniwa's like close to Sapporo and Chitose. But I also think I've also hit the jackpot in terms of people that I've met because I'm not the type to reach out. They've always like reached out to me and I was like, oh yeah, I'll go along. And then it kind of goes on from there.
No, I'm the same way. Like I wish people would reach out, but the thing is, and then when I reach out, I feel like no one would come, and then I feel like, oh, people probably don't like me, so that's why I don't reach out sometimes.
I completely understand.
That's why. Well, but it took a good like a big like courage for me to ask you to come on the podcast too. I'm like, oh, what if he thinks I'm weird?
Oh, no, don't worry.
Because for the first night when we met, I was hitting on you just a joke.
No, I was hitting on you too, man. Don't worry. Like,
oh, cool. So
we were all drinking.
So should we just confess our love on this podcast?
Oh no, I want to keep it on the down low.
Okay, I'm gonna cut this out, everybody. Don't. No, but yeah, no, like making friends here. For me, I remember like some Jets are like very active, and they would go out and they would like, and that's how like Carly put us like all this friends together, and then
absolutely.
And some people can do it, and some people can't. I thought I was pretty extrovert until I come here, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do anything. I just want to stay home. But yeah, well, I'm glad that you have the good exposure to people, and that's one of my goals this year is to have more people come on the podcast at the same time, meet more people, and see what their backgrounds and why Japan.
Yeah, I'll let people know, and like if they're interested, I'll just send them your way.
That would be great. And in the future, of course, again, everyone, those audience who are listening, this is a low budget podcast, so hopefully in the future, I can actually send people to to Hokkaido. Like if we can bring them to Hokkaido and show them and do this podcast, will be amazing.
Yeah, the only treat I got is the beer I got out of my fridge.
Oh, yeah, you guys. Yeah, that's how low budget. He has to buy his own beer for this podcast. Well, I'm opening my second beer, so
absolutely.
Yeah. So, kanpai.
Kanpai.
How often do you like hang out with your any of your JTEs or like teachers?
So,
or BOE staff?
Funnily enough, not over the time I've been here, not much, but recently I've been invited to more nomikais or enkais even, like drinking parties. And I'm just like, I've been here for 2 years. Why are you guys asking now? That was my first thought. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm like, why did it take so long?
Someone's like, oh yeah, we totally forgot about this guy.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, oh, okay.
No, like, I'm not sure. Like, maybe those Jets who are here during before the pandemic can probably tell us. But like, we noticed that there is a dramatic change where there's not as much nomikais or drinking parties after works because of COVID. So that's why for me and my BOE, we don't really go out as much. Or invite me as much. So I have to go out there and just kind of invite people, or I myself would go out into the city and just kind of practice my Japanese with local bartenders and locals. So yeah. Why Japan, Dios?
Very simple answer to this, actually. I'm just a big fan of Japanese video games specifically.
Okay.
Like I grew up around Japanese media because my older brother had like VHS tapes of anime as well, and he bought games for like the PS1, like Japanese games. Like, they were in English, but they were Japan made, like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, all that jazz. I grew up on all that stuff, and it eventually got to the point where I was like, all right, there's this new release coming out. I'm gonna look it up, and then I find out it comes out like 6 months to a year earlier in Japan. I was like, oh damn, I want to play it now. So I just import it and I just play it with zero Japanese. And then one thing led to another, and I was just like, I was picking it up as I go. I was like, oh yeah, I love this stuff. So like, eventually, that's how I learned Japanese and kind of fell in love with the culture.
I gotta tell you, Japan is really good at getting you. That's why they call it gacha.
Yes,
The gacha, yeah, because if the audience don't know, there's something called gacha gimmick, or like one thing leads to another, and they're very good at that, and their marketing
They
is very
are.
good, especially within their toys too. I will explain that.
That's another thing too. I grew up on that stuff as well.
Yeah. No, I didn't grow like I have video games, but didn't play as much because it was my brother's. So, but I was more exposed into the the superheroes of Japan. So like the mass heroes like Kamen Riders or like Super
Oh,
Sentais.
Kamen Rider, yeah. I like that too.
Yeah,
I'm a
so
big fan of Tokusatsu.
Tokusatsu. Like I was exposed to the Japanese VHS, but dubbed in Hmong language. So I'm not sure if they have any dubs in Tagalog, but
yes, terrible stuff.
No, like I actually was really thankful that my mom bought those or I have those because for one, I was able to keep in touch with my language and my culture.
Yes.
Like I'm like, okay, that's great. And then another thing was I was like watching the VHS of the Japanese dubbed. I was like, okay, this is strange. Why is there two types of Power Rangers? There's some Asian people and there's the American people. Which one is the real one? So I have so many questions, and one thing led to another, and I dig the whole. I'm like, oh, Power Rangers.
They gotcha.
Yeah, they got me right. So Power Ranger came from Japan, and they started way back in the 70s, and with like Kamen Rider. I'm like, oh, okay, and then that's how I'm here. But then I haven't really watched recently because all of the new series are not the best. That's just my opinion.
Like right now, I think Geats is airing right now.
Yes. There's a new show called Kamen Rider Geats, and recently I think the series there are too much writers. It's not like
Too many.
And I think they're just trying to bring as much writers to sell toys to the kids because now the kids. And surprisingly too, like if the audience don't know, in Japan people still buy toys for kids here. Unlike the Western world, we don't really buy as much toys. If that's what I know.
If
they buy, it's more for like collectors, I guess.
It's more for collectors these days.
Yeah. But any other things that you're into in Japan other than games, or are you into anime? Right? You said.
Yeah, anime. So it's kind of like the holy trinity of Japanese media, like the video games, the manga, and then the anime. So like, I was a big like I watched a lot of anime growing up. I've slowed down a lot these days. I've just been reading it. But in terms of other Japanese stuff, I used to be a big fan. Oh, actually, in high school, like I used to be a big fan of like Japanese visual kei rock. You heard of visual kei?
Visual kei?
Yeah, visual kei. It's essentially glamour rock, if I had to describe it. So like all these bands would like overdress themselves. They like put on a bunch of like eyeliner and stuff and just like, have exaggerated appearances and then play like rock music.
That's interesting. I have never heard of that. But no, I listened to a lot of J-rock during my early
It's a subgenre of J-rock.
Oh, okay. But no, I think J-rock, and then I remember my anime days, when I got into anime, other than Tokusatsu, I remember listening to a lot of Hatsune Miku.
Yes.
What is she again? She's a Romanoid or
Vocaloid.
Vocaloid. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for those I don't remember, but
it's okay.
Yeah, Hatsune Miku was just one of the many few. Apparently, there's way much more, and I don't want to dig into another rabbit hole. I already have like other series to look into. But yeah, like what was your first anime series that you watched?
First, I'm pretty sure it was Evangelion.
I heard a lot of people did watch that as their first.
So I think I watched it at a very young age because my brother had the VHS tapes and they were dubbed. But I watched that before I watched, Pokemon, Beyblade, and all the classics.
All the classics,
All the classics, yeah. So that
Yeah,
was my first one. Yeah.
yeah. I'm pretty sure my first animes was of course Pokemon and Digimon because
Yes.
they were all like dubbed on the American or cartoon channels in America for a
Yeah.
Western audience, and then later on, I didn't know that they were anime. Thought we just thought they were cartoons, and then afterwards, I got into Naruto.
Hey, I did too.
Yeah, Naruto was a good gateway anime, I say, if
It is.
no one
Yes.
hasn't gotten to. But Boruto, a little different at the moment. We'll see how it goes.
Not a lot of people fan of Boruto, and I noticed actually, like from my own perspective, I'm not a fan of, like, for me, I'm not a fan of Boruto.
Yeah.
But what I noticed when speaking to like elementary school kids or junior high kids,
Uh-huh.
they, instead of saying Boruto, they'd be like, oh yeah, I read Naruto, or like I watch Naruto, and I was like, oh, okay.
You mean you watch Boruto's dad?
Boruto's dad, yeah.
That was the
Like-
running joke for the longest time. Like, isn't it Naruto?
when will they make a show about Boruto's dad?
I think they did already. No, but like, yeah, Japanese pop culture and gimmicks, it'll get you, and sometimes it'll get you in so much where you can't get yourself out, and you're kind of broke at the end of the day. So, those of you who are interested in Japanese stuff, be careful. Just gotta say.
Yeah.
So just like going back into the like living like situation, when you came to Japan, what year did you came?
I came in 2020.
You came in
So
20.
like specifically late November 2020.
Oh man, I call BS because the United States jets, the only earliest people who came was I think 20 in April probably. I think. Oh no wait, 2021 summer.
April, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember people
And
coming in.
I
around
did
then.
not know that Australia or other states came in before us because by the time it hit September or something because of COVID, they canceled the program for us. So a lot of us were very like, okay, what are we gonna do? And we just kind of waited until they give us the notice in November of 2020 saying that we're going to leave 2021 January. But 2 weeks before January, when we're supposed to fly out, they canceled the program because there was another breakout.
Yes.
So that's where it's kind of harsh because that's where they don't, in a way, a lot of people dropped out actually during that time in the where the California chat that I was from. And some people did drop out. And because of that, they didn't just cancel once, they canceled twice. And that's where it's kind of harsh because a lot of people actually lost jobs and they were kind of homeless for a while. So,
yeah, because they can't just wait for like, this job to come around, like when it's like months and months away.
Yeah. I was actually fortunate enough. I was still with Amazon. I didn't let go of my job yet until the day comes. But then again, yeah, it was unfortunate. But for those who we made it, it was great. But then again, I wish Claire's or Mex did a better job. Or if it's not their responsibility, I'm pretty sure it's just the higher Japanese government. But then again, can't do much about it because we're just the foreigners who are on contract.
It would have been better if it was handled better overall.
Yeah, and even hearing from other chats too, even during pandemic, there's a lot of things that they didn't really know what to do too. So I think it was just not jet specific or Japan specific. It was throughout the world that we didn't see this coming.
A lot was happening around that time.
How was your living situation when you came to Japan?
So before like actually getting to Eniwa, I had to do 2 weeks quarantine at Hotel Nikko in, I think it was Chiba.
Oh, me too.
Oh, hey, there you go.
Did you guys ever went to the 11th floor, right? And just
we
right across from Narita Airport, and that's where that the 11th floor is. That's the amazing place that things happened.
Yes, so that's where everyone hung out. Or
Yeah,
like,
that's where everybody
it
hung
was,
out too.
yeah, it was great because initially I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be here for 2 weeks. I'm gonna just do whatever. I'm not a social butterfly, so I don't think I'll talk to that many people. But that was not the case. It felt like I was in a university dorm at that point
Oh no, yeah,
because
definitely. Yeah, I feel the same.
like because jet staff and hotel staff weren't communicating,
Hmm.
people would ask questions to the hotel staff. And because normal people that weren't a part of jet had different rules to us, so for example, those people could go in and out of the building. So some people would ask the hotel staff, "Hey, can we just go out and like do stuff?" The hotel staff would be like, "Yeah, sure, fine," and they just go out when specifically jet people could not.
Oh, that's a no-no because specifically like when we came in, they highly push on us that you cannot leave the hotel or you will be deported.
That is because of us.
Yeah, and like I think it was either you guys or an LA because I remember the one group from LA came before us in 2021
Mm.
and we heard a rumor because of of Reddit and the group chats.
Yes.
So a lot of people was like, yeah, like someone got deported. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm gonna blurt that out. Anyways, I'm like, shoot, like if someone got deported, we should really be careful. And oh my god, like being in this hotel for 2 weeks and with chats and Reddit and stuff, it felt like battle royale. Literally, like some people were just so micromanaging, telling other people, "Don't fuck this up for us. Don't mess this up for us." And some people are really chill, it's like whatever. And some people just don't want to communicate with other people. Like they just don't want to be part of drama. It was like Hunger Games, man. Like,
Yeah, you had
for
different
me,
clicks and everything.
yeah, exactly. And for me, I was just like, I'm gonna just chill back. I mean, if people like, we're gonna be separated after this. Some of us, we already have some cliques. We already have some friends groups. So, yeah, I'm not sure how do you guys deal with it, but yeah, we were the ones that kind of had a little bit harsh start when we came in.
So, I'm actually kind of thankful for that 2 week quarantine because that's how I was able to make a lot of the connections that I still have now. Because I had the same idea going in as a lot of people, where I'm just gonna be here for 2 weeks and I'm gonna piss off. I won't talk to anyone else from here. But funnily enough, the people I did talk to a lot were you're not going to Hokkaido, but like other places. I talked to those guys a lot, and then funnily enough, as soon as I got to Hokkaido, the people in Hokkaido, they reached out to me. I talked to them a couple of times, but not much. And I was like, oh, I didn't think I'd leave a big enough impression for them to reach out. And then that got the ball rolling for me.
That's like for me, I didn't know that I was gonna like be friends with other people too. I did end up having a formal group, but we were for the first year after we split up, we met here and there, but after a while we just kind of lost. We just didn't really keep up the connection, and because even within our group, there's like another clique within a clique. So that's where I wish I could have talked to more people. But other than that, like we try to form the Hokkaido group with the people I came with, but of course they have their own cliques as well. So we just couldn't really keep up. And then when I came here for the first, it was very lonely because in the middle of nowhere, and it's my first winter too when I came. My first white Christmas, you can say, my first snow. So as a Californian, again, I expressed this so many times, not really well with the snow, but then again, I had to deal with it. But it was great. But again, to those of you who don't know, it could be very lonely sometimes in Japan if you don't go out there and make friends and talk to people. So yeah. So like did you ever feel like something like that when you couldn't like talk to people?
So when I first got here, it was like a white Christmas, and for me, it was the first white Christmas, let alone snow in general that I've seen since I was like, I don't know, 5, because in Australia it doesn't snow at all.
Oh yeah, and around this time of the year or the winter parts, it's your summer, right?
Yeah, practically summer, like 40 degrees, like Celsius, or 100 something Fahrenheit for people, American people.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we love our Fahrenheits. We're not gonna step out to Celsius. Well, I was forced into Celsius when I come here, so now I know Celsius in kilos, and I go back home like, oh, it's about this much kilos, and they're like, you mean pounds? I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Now I gotta go back to pounds and weights and stuff. So yeah.
So in terms of how it was for me, I didn't feel sad at all.
Mm-hmm.
I was very fortunate. I don't know how my state was at the time. I think it was very fine because if anything, I still had connections back home. Like I would be on Discord talking to friends back home. I'd be like, guys, I'm in Japan. This is nuts. It's snowing outside. I'd be talking to them about it.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I did was like at that time, people hadn't reached out to me yet. So I think it was either for Christmas or New Year. I think it was Christmas or New Year's. One of the two. I went to an arcade near me.
Yeah.
And I was like, because it was a year since I last came to Japan, and I really enjoyed the arcade scene. So I just went to an arcade near me, and I spent like hours just playing rhythm games, fighting games, and all that jazz. I was like, this is the best.
That sounds like you had a great time. I remember coming here, my first 2021 September, and October came around, like Halloween. I didn't go anywhere. I just went to the mall in the city next over, which is the bigger city in Sapporo, which is not in Sapporo, I'm sorry. In Asaikawa, I went to the Ion Ekime, which has an Ion mall next to it. And on the very top floor, there was like crane games, and I had about, what is it? Maybe 1 mon, so that's about $100.
Yeah.
So, or 10,000 yen. And I used that on a call machine, and I'm like, I'm going home now. I'm out of money. So I was like, yeah, I don't think I will ever play these games ever again.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I was hoping to hear, you got it. I was like,
no, actually, some are actually pretty good. I became pretty good for a little while, but then I'm like, I'm gonna have to spend a lot more money if I really want this prize. But I remember spending like a weekend in Sapporo one time. I won like a bunch of gifts as well too, and I was like, oh, this is a lot of stuff to bring back home. So yeah.
That's the main thing influencing my purchases here. I'm like, eventually, like I'm gonna have to move, whether it be back home or some other place in Japan. Like, that's why I'm kind of not buying a lot.
Yeah. Oh, so like other than Japan, like probably Hokkaido, where do you think you can see yourself living in Japan?
I've grown to love Hokkaido so much, but the only reason I would move out is because of the specific jobs that I want. They're not really abundant here.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the same anywhere, I guess. You always got to go to the big city for the whatever job you want. Ideally, it would be on the outskirts of Tokyo or Osaka, because that's where I want to eventually work, actually.
You know, it's fun. I feel like we have a lot in common, because me too, because I mean, I love Tokyo. Like outside of Tokyo, it's not as busy. That's great. And then for me, because I came here 10 years ago in high school, and I have a host family in Kobe, so Osaka or Kobe is pretty good. To be honest, I feel like whatever is past Sapporo and up north of Sapporo, everywhere else, you don't really find much for foreigners. No. It's a lot of agriculture here in Hokkaido.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know that too. Like a lot of people on media, they will see that, oh, Japan, this big high-tech neon lights place, but that's only Tokyo or the big cities, right? They haven't really ventured out to like other prefectures and other specialities that they have. So it's very like interesting that, they only see what's on the media, but haven't really explored. And with that, like when you travel, like how good is your Japanese?
When I travel, I can hold a conversation, at least. From my own perspective, I think I'm pretty independent. But that's not saying my Japanese is good. I'm just like, I know specific phrases.
Yeah, no, same here.
Yeah.
And the first year you came, did you know some Japanese already, or did you have to learn?
Yeah, I knew some Japanese already, because before coming here, I did 2 years of Japanese study in university.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So you got something under your belt. Did
that's
you?
a little bit.
Yeah. No. Like, did you like learned in university and then like kind of worked and didn't practice Japanese and you had to relearn it, or what was the case?
I learned it in university, and then when I finished, when I got enough points to have Japanese as my minor, I kind of just dropped it. I shouldn't have, but I was kind of, I want to finish my degree already, and I don't want extra work, etc.
Understandable. Well, for me, I'm not sure about Australia, but like in California and in America, we have like our community college, which is like a 3 or 2 year junior college, and you can go there and get like a associate's degree or like finish some general eds, and then you can transfer to like a 4 year or state college. And that's where I took Japanese. And our budget was so low for the school that they had to split our 1A class for Japanese into 2 semesters. So, or that's just how it was taught. And so I only learned, like, I think the first book. I lost the language because I didn't practice enough. And there's, in the middle of California where I grew up, there's not much Japanese to practice with. So when I came back, I have to actually relearn a little bit. So yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but like you, I only know phrases. I'm surprised I was able to order my own meal at McDonald's. Because when I came here, I was trying to order McDonald's. Sometimes I would point at the picture and I would say "setto," which is the meal.
Yeah.
And sometimes they couldn't hear me well. They would just give me the burger by itself.
Oh, that's so, oh no.
So then I would eat one burger and I was like, okay, I'll go buy another onigiri at the grocery store or something.
Yeah, you don't want to go back.
Yeah.
Like, I know. I get you on that one.
Yeah.
No.
But then surprisingly enough, I mean, that's how people order here too. Like you see like people go and order, they'll just order one small fry. And that's, for me as an American, of course, that's just kind of strange where you can just order one small fry. Don't you want a little bit more to share with people or a little bit more for yourself? So, of course, yeah, I'm sorry. Just being an American, love big portions.
No. Like Australia as well has like bigger portion sizes, which is already crazy to me because I've always seen American portion sizes or like in terms of like McDonald's fast food or something. And I'd be like, Australia's tiny. And then I came here. Japan is even more tiny.
Yeah, no. Oh, so what shocked me was Starbucks. Do you guys have Starbucks in Australia?
A few, yeah.
Okay.
It's not popular though.
Okay, it's understandable. I mean, it's not the best coffee, but if it's there, then it will do. But apparently, in Starbucks in America, we have tall, which is a small, grande as a medium, and venti as the largest size. But apparently, in Japan, they have something smaller than a tall.
Yes. I forgot the name though.
I think it's extra. I don't know what it is, but oh my God, it's like a baby shot glass. It's like literally like a baby cup. And I'm like, you can get yourself, your day can actually go along with this cup. Maybe like an espresso or ginger shot, but I don't know how people can just order a small bit of coffee. So.
Just a bit of an aside, I think I'm not much of a coffee nut. Like, I'll drink it every so often, rarely. But I just think it's funny that the small size is called tall.
Yeah, I don't know where how the marketing works. I'm pretty sure someone will tell us. But I remember that video of Paul Rudd telling us about grande and tall. And I don't know if you've seen that clip. But,
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, it's just so funny. But then again, it's their way of marketing. No, nothing against them. But
yeah.
Service night is a bit small. But then again, it's so weird. Here in Japan, they do eat smaller size, but you'd be going to some restaurants will give you so much for you at a really cheap price. Yes. And I'm not sure how people are not like overweight or anything here because they have a different metabolism.
Yeah.
So, like, what's like the biggest meal or the cheapest meal you ate?
Cheapest meal?
Yeah. The bang for your buck, basically.
Bang for your buck. Oh man, that's really hard because I don't really think when I spend money for food. Okay. Well, in terms of bang for buck, I've done some like food challenges.
Oh, here in Japan?
Yeah, here in Japan.
Oh, wow.
I did the wanko soba challenge in Sendai, I think it was. I ate like 102 bowls of wanko soba.
Oh wow.
and that cost me like 1,500 or something.
Oh, that's not too bad. But then again,
Yeah.
did you finish?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
So it's like a challenge of like how many bowls you can eat, essentially.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Yeah, portion size here are interesting because you can get a lot and you pay very cheap. Like sometimes I think a meal one time I ate this big giant like hamburger croquette for like 960 yen.
Hey.
And I was like I was full. I was done for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even the ramen here sometimes it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, sometimes it's pretty cheap. I will say though, the biggest sin I think for Japanese restaurants are the cup sizes. So like if you self-serve water or something, they give you this tiny glass, and I'm someone like who drinks a lot of water when I eat. So if they don't give me a jug, I'm kind of like, oh fuck, I gotta get up like every like 2 bites or something.
That's like this is what I do when I go to yakiniku places. When I eat by myself, I would grab 3 to 4 drinks, or 3 or 4 water, just in case so I don't have to get up. And I know that people will look at me weird, but then again, I do my, what they say, you do you. They won't say
absolutely.
anything. I mean, if you pay, you stay, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like that's just my major pet peeve with Japanese restaurants in general. Like, at the very least, give me the jug.
maybe if someone starts like a restaurant being that it's oversized restaurant, and you look at it, it's just regular size for Americans or for Australians, and
absolutely,
a new concept. I think someone needs to bring up. But then again, who's gonna do it? Maybe in the future, hopefully, someone comes around and do it for us.
Who knows?
Yeah. What are some like challenges did you go through when you came here?
Signing up for things in general. So, for example, when I was signing up for my bank account, my middle name, caused the problem.
Oh,
like, oh, we can't fit this in, or it's too long. Or because for me, for context, like middle name, everyone a lot of foreigners will have middle names.
Yeah,
that alone will be a problem. But for me specifically, at the end of my last name, or rather, at least on my official documents, at the end of my first name, there is the third.
Oh, so makes sense.
That caused problems in Australia, but in Japan, it's like times 10. They're like, "What do we do with this?" and they're like, "How do you say this?" And I was like, "The third." And like, "Could you write that in katakana?" And I was like, no, I just said Sansei.
Oh, Sansei. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Rupin Sansei or something.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. I just remember very vividly them being like, because I tried signing up online as well, and they're like, your name is too long. Go to the actual bank. And like, I went in, they're like, they pointed to the third, and like, what's this? My name. And I even proved it. I showed my like my documents, identification documents, and like, they just did the confused head rub kind of thing. Like, and they just let out a sigh like, ooh.
This is not like Japan again. They go by the books, right? If it's not by their script, they don't know what to do.
Yes, if it's something different that's not in the recipe, quote unquote.
Yeah,
they're like, I don't know. And then like they took it, and then I just saw them like running around like a headless chicken, talking to people like, what do you do this, what do you do that. They fixed it. I don't know what they did. I just remember them scrambling for 10 minutes, being like,
Yeah, no, in Japan, like, if, like, you go to, like, a service or when you sign up for something, of course you had to, like, in this kind of stuff, like, if it's not part of the script that they know, they're going to scramble around and they're going to bring it up to their supervisor. Oh, and the supervisor doesn't know what to do. They're going to bring it up to the manager. Oh, the manager knows what to do. Oh, what should we do with this? The manager's going to go to the next, like, higher up. That's the reason why their service is great, because they go by the script too sometimes. So.
Yes.
But yeah, what other things did you have trouble with? Other than the name?
So when I first got here, I came to realize very quickly PayPal wasn't an option.
Oh yeah, I learned the hard way as well.
I was like, okay, I'll just do this right. PayPal. Oh, they don't, because this was before I got when my BOE took me to get a bank account. I got given a cash card, not a debit card. So just PayPal, and I was like, okay, what do I do for this thing? So before I got my debit card set up, I just had to go with my Australian debit card for a lot of things. And if they didn't accept foreign debit cards, I was like, well, I'm not buying this today.
No, like, yeah, a lot of like Japan, like they're recently barely kind of understanding what debit card is. They use credit cards. They understand the system of credit cards, but
Yeah.
debit card, some banks just don't offer debit cards. Like they just don't understand like where you can use a card that comes out of your bank account, just like how you pull out cash. But it's a new thing for them. And when I came here, I was like, I need a debit card to pay for some stuff online. And I was scrambling. I was like, okay, apparently Line Pay, if you guys don't know what Line is kind of like their Facebook here in Japan. And they have something called Line Wallet, which is like Facebook Pay if you guys use Facebook Pay. But here, it's a whole nother system. They have a virtual debit card. So I've been using that on my Apple Pay. It came in handy, but then later on I need a physical card just in case, right? And JP Bank finally issued one about probably 6 months ago.
Oh, you're with JP Bank?
Yes, I'm with JP Bank.
Oh shit! Oh crap!
Who are you with?
Oh, I'm with Hokkaido Ginko.
Is that the the Hokkaido Bank?
Yeah. Oh no, it's another bank in Hokkaido.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a Hokkaido bank.
Oh, it's like the Northern Bank or something, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard stories from other people about JP Bank, so that's why I was kind of like, oh.
Actually,
man.
to be honest, like on my part, JP Bank is not bad. Like for me,
okay,
it's not as bad
good.
for me.
That's good.
Yeah, but some other people might have issues. But to be honest, I feel really bad for other ALTs because ALTs sometimes people, the BOE or like their school takes them to go make banks. The person who go take them to make banks has a bank there. That's why they take them there. And some banks, they're region lock. So you can't.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
So you can't sign up for a debit card, or you can sign up for a debit card, but you can't use your debit card outside of that prefecture, or you can't like even sign up for like their app, their mobile payment app called PayPay here. So I feel like there's just so many things that I wish we could have been told before we come about finance here that it's different.
Yeah, there's a lot of intricacies that you won't know that they're a problem until you run into it.
Exactly, right. And but yeah, I'm thankful now. I have a debit card. I have PayPay. I have actually one of every payment thing you can find here in Japan. What do you have?
I have Line Pay. I have PayPay. I think that's about it. Also use Apple Pay as well.
Yeah, I think PayPay and Line Pay are the most to use virtually.
Yeah.
I even have Yucho Pay, which is the JP Bank version of PayPay. I have like the IC chip cards. I have the Suica on my phone. I have the 7-Eleven Nano. I have what is it? Eon's and a one card where it's
wait, what? You have one too?
Yeah, I have that, and I can use. You can like Japan. Oh, Japan. See, this is another gotcha gimmick. Like for stores, like here in Japan, they love point system. If you guys don't,
they love it so much,
and it's amazing because Amazon has it here. It's not just for your credit cards. It's also on the stores. So they come like Japan is like a loyalty system. If we give you points, if you buy our prepaid card or load money on here, every time you come here, you will get some kind of amount of points. If you use only our stuff, then if you're only onto that specific brand, then they will give you points to spend there. So, but for me, I was like, I don't know which one is good, so I'll just try a little bit of everything. So
damn.
Yeah. So sometimes I'm like, okay, if I'm like out of money, I'm like, okay, let me check my other accounts. Like, what do I have?
Oh my god!
So it could be a pain sometimes. But Japan has more payment stuff, which I'm like, this is interesting. How everything could be like a service, but also like a financial service as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. Speaking of finance, don't mind me asking, like, how much do you pay for rent?
So rent itself is about 25,000. That's 250.
That's yen, right?
Yeah, yen, yeah.
All right. And how much is that in like Australian dollars?
I'd say like 300-ish.
Yeah, that's about the same in US. Well, right now the yen is down, so
Yeah,
yeah.
which I'm kind of miffed about that.
I,
I'm like,
yeah,
ugh.
a lot of like the ALT or foreigners we've been talking, and we don't like it because a lot of us are fresh out of college, and we are sending money back home, right, to pay for bills or kind of loans we have, and we're just losing a lot of money in yen. So
It is monopoly money.
yeah,
A little bit annoying because like back home in Australia, I'd import a lot of stuff from Japan, like, and I'd pay up the wazoo for it because Australia dollar it was low, and then Japanese yen was higher, and I'd be like, okay, I'll still pay for it. And then I come here and I get paid in yen, and then yen just goes, pooh, just dips. Like, really?
yeah. So you got to flip the flip whammy on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I didn't know that the yen would go deep so low when we came. If I knew about the yen going low, I don't think I would have came. But I'm already here, so I was like I might as well go through with it and stay here as long
Yeah.
as I can. Going back to like housing, like do you have like a studio or like a 3 bedroom or a 3DR or what do you have?
So it's a 1 LDK. So I have like a bedroom, a living area, dining slash kitchen.
Okay.
It's way. I've been to Leo Palaces. It is. I think the accommodation I have is way more livable, and I'm very comfortable here where I am.
I think a lot of us who are not part of the high school housing, then our place might be a little bit smaller. But other than that, I think the studio we have for one person is pretty good compared to
Yeah,
the United States or Australia.
it's much better.
Yeah, and does your BOE like subsidize for you for rent?
Yes, they've subsidized. I forgot how much, like percentage wise, but it is subsidized by an amount.
Okay, and do they own like the building you live in?
Yes, or not the building. They own. They're going through a like I forgot what you call it. Kanrigaisha. This another company that's in charge of like housing, etc.
Okay. So far, there's no any like problems with housing. Everything is good, right?
So when I first got here, they were showing off their apartment to me, like the BOE, and there didn't seem to be much issues. There's like some issues with dust and dirt, but I was like, this hasn't been like used in like months, so I was like, that's fine. I'll clean it up, whatever. One thing I did notice though was the shower head did not work properly.
Oh,
So it would only output, I think it was scalding hot or scalding cold. Never, I couldn't adjust it. So I had to take like full on bucket showers.
oh wow. That
I was in the Philippines again kind of deal.
did you
For a good-
did you have to go buy a towel from
Yeah,
from Daiso?
you know it.
Yes,
I had
yes.
to buy a towel from Daiso. But I just did that for a bit till it got fixed, and then it got fixed immediately. I didn't have to pay for anything,
Oh,
so
that's
it
good.
wasn't a big deal.
My housing was owned by the town I live in. Not subsidized, but it's cheaper than the city.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and what is it? It's this apartment is actually also my like predecessors. So there was there was like a damage, but they fixed it before I came, so I didn't have to pay anything too. But did you have to pay any key money or any kind of like deposit?
I don't. I think I did. I think
Okay.
it's been so long. I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Well, I remember I did for the first 3 months, and it was kind of harsh, man. That first
Yeah,
year
I've
jet
heard.
salary, couldn't.
That first year, and then getting pounded by all these bills.
Yeah, and then it's even worse if you have like Japan bills, and then you have America or Australian bills. You had to pay for.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So that's why, like for
other
me,
stuff.
I'm always saying like I wish it was a little bit more because the yen is going down, but Japan thinks everybody is responsible, but not where we came from. That's a little different. What is your experience being like a Filipino-Australian influence your perspective of teaching and living in Japan?
I know there have been times I've been, because of the mask, they'll think I'm Japanese, which is a bonus in some cases. But also there are times where people will immediately know I'm a foreigner. I've been great. I've been lucky enough to haven't had any experiences with racism or anything related to that
Mhm.
in my time here in Japan. Like everyone's been lovely, which is good. Like nothing really significant
Okay.
as far as I know.
I think yeah, for the API like community here, like we tend to be mistaken for Japanese if you look the part, right? Especially with masks, but
Yeah.
even like some of us, like for me definitely people would think I'm just Japanese. Like I'm lucky sometimes they ask like simple questions where I can answer them, and there's sometimes where I'm like gaikokujin this. so
Yeah.
so going back to that, yeah, it's a little bit an interesting experience that we have. But again, if there's no like bad experience, what like would you like to tell the audience like what good experience have you like or any particular experience that is great here in Japan that or a memorable experience?
Memorable experience in Japan. I'd say my most memorable experiences would be like when I travel out into the like countryside
Mhm.
of Hokkaido. So for example, I did a summer like camping trip
Yeah.
with a whole bunch of friends, and so like going eastward even
Mhm.
to like like all the way to like Kushiro or like Shiratoko and Nemuro. The thing I remember most was just people being very surprisingly nice compared to the city.
Mhm.
Like even though they understood that me and my friends were foreigners, they still talked to us in Japanese as they would like a normal person. I was like, oh, that's nice. But just being able to see a different side of Japan that not really a lot of people would have seen. Because
Mhm.
I know for Hokkaido, people come here for Sapporo or Asaika or like snow. But going into this countryside and summer where like no one really travels outside of like locals,
Yeah.
it was really good to see. It was kind of not life changing, but like eye opening, I guess if that's the word. Because being an indoor person, I know I was always like when I came to Japan before, I would explore like Kyoto, Osaka, Tokyo, and all that. I would explore the temples and stuff, and we'd leave the shopping / city areas for last. And I would always be excited for like, oh yeah, I want to shop, I want to buy all this merch, I want to go to the arcade. But seeing all this stuff in the countryside, I'm like, oh, there is value in just traveling and going somewhere to just see it with your own eyes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I wish I can do that more. But like coming from like a suburban like lifestyle or like the city lifestyle, it's so hard to like go out to the like the countryside. Like I'm not in the like country or Inaka area, but it is a small quiet town I'm in, and then there's other smaller towns too where there's not much, right? But
Yeah, there isn't much.
but then again, that the reason it makes it great because of the people. They were very welcoming sometimes.
Absolutely.
And some of good again, Japan is very good with their gacha because some town would be specialized in certain things, like spring water or sake or like like for example, I know somewhere in it's not a country or a Inaka town, but this town was actually I think that's where Toyota started. And
okay.
I think over time, I think that town changed its name to Toyota. So, because everybody was driving Toyotas there. That's what I remembered. But yeah, that's just very interesting about Japan. Do you see yourself living here for a very long time?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
That is my plan. And like, ideally, I would love to live here permanently. Like, not in Hokkaido, but like, ideally, Osaka or Tokyo.
Yeah, maybe we can probably look into that together. We can start a podcast and just live here and start interviewing all the foreigners.
Absolutely, this is how we get started.
Yeah, and drink strong zeros on the podcast. If you guys don't know what strong zero is, it's a adult drink here, and it's amazing. But be careful; it's also known as the gaijin killer drink.
Yes, because it tastes like juice.
Oh, yes. And there's chu-highs here too, for those who don't like beer. So it's very sweet. Yeah.
A little bit of an aside, I never was much of a drinker in Australia, but ever since coming here, I've picked up like I drink socially, if anything.
Yeah.
Back in Australia, I never did, but here I'm always drinking with friends.
Oh, yeah, no, especially like in America too. I would drink, or in the university days, I would drink with friends, go out to parties. I would never drink alone, but sometimes here in Japan, after a long day of work from school and work, you just want a nice can of beer. So that's me. I now drink alone. So other than that, it's great. It's better to drink with other people. It's much funner.
Yeah.
It's a better time.
Worst case scenario, I'll be on call with someone or like a couple of friends, and then I'll have a drink in hand.
Yeah. It's like all of a sudden, like I didn't know when did this came, but here now.
Absolutely.
What's your advice to people who wants to come to Japan and live here, or to come to Japan and do our ALT like position? What is your advice for them?
So my advice, like just speaking from my own personal experience, try to be very open-minded in a sense where, like, for example, I've seen people say that they've been asked silly, like on the outside, silly questions. For example, like, like you'll be asked by a coworker, or do they have arts and crafts class in Australia, for example? In my head, like normally you'd be like, yeah, of course we do, and then you just answer yes. But on the flip side, I kind of thought to myself, I don't know much about that coworker, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't know much about me. I'm positive he was just trying to start a conversation. If anything, if the question seems silly, don't immediately go to, that's a dumb question. Just be like, oh, you're a foreigner in Japan. Like, people are going to ask, they're going to try to start something with you.
Like an icebreaker question, just to get
an icebreaker question. No matter how silly it is, they're talking to you. They're going to be using English even if they're not confident in it. So just play a bit nice, be open-minded. And another thing is, on the flip side, I would not recommend coming on Jet or Japan if you're...
if it's like your first time.
Not if it's your first time, but if you're not confident in being able to live alone, / you need constant social interactions, but you don't have good Japanese or like a basic understanding. Because I feel like it will be hard for those people who need that constant social interaction, but the big wall of not knowing Japanese is going to stop you. I feel like that's a big detriment. Or at the very least, be open-minded or be open to practicing Japanese at the very least.
And like coming here, what if they come here, they have no knowledge of like learning Japanese? Is there any tips from you? Like, do you think they should start how to learn Japanese?
Incorporate Japanese into something you already like very much. So for me, pretty clearly, based on this podcast, I incorporated Japanese into my hobby of video games. And that's how I picked it up quite naturally over time. It didn't feel like study for me, and I just took it in much easily. Like, if you're into sports, watch Japanese sports. If you're into creating music, find some music that you like. Just find a way to incorporate it into your already existing hobbies.
Sometimes it's hard too, right? Because what if the hobbies or the hobbies in the area you're in doesn't have that kind of hobby? But
it's really
so
it depends.
Yeah, I think another advice, well, for me too, is to the audience. I would say get into something new. I'm trying to get into something new. I'm trying to find something new that, like, here in Japan, trying to figure it out. What can I do here that I'm not into, but I think I can like. The other day, well, with an ALT friend, I'm starting D&D, which is Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm starting that, and I'm looking for something more active stuff to do with maybe local Japanese people too. So maybe going on ramen hunts or beer bars, So trying to incorporate to have the locals or like to use as much Japanese as possible. So that's my advice. But yeah. Well, it looks like the time is up. Dios, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me
Yeah.
here. It's been a good time.
Yeah, I had a great conversation. We'll do this again for season 2. But
Absolutely.
yeah. But with that, everyone, thank you so much for being here today again. I am Kevin, your host. Thank you for listening to the Kotatsu podcast, and we are signing off. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.